Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another edition of 10 Unedited Minutes with Marlena. It is Thursday, May 28th, and oh, hi, Joe. Sorry, I get distracted very easily. 10 Unedited Minutes with Marlena. Today we are broadcasting, I don't know why I always say that. Today we are recording on TikTok Live. We are recording through the microphone of my computer that will be pushed out to Apple Podcast and Spotify, and we are also recording for YouTube. So this episode is brought to you by a very dear friend of mine who has decided to sponsor 2 months worth of my work, and they don't want to be recognized. So if anybody else would like to sponsor me, it is just a minimal investment of $25 for a month. It's just to cover my cost for uploading these to Buzzsprout. It is a monthly subscription, and if I can, get somebody who loves to support me and loves what I'm doing here, then yeah. And if you choose to do that, then I will mention your name before and after every episode, and then I will put you on all the social media that I push this out to. So anyway, let's get into it today. I've been kind of excited to record this, and I feel like you guys have kind of been waiting on the edge of your seats to find out what is going on with me health-wise, just to catch people up who may or may not have heard my episode from a few weeks ago about my health scare. A couple weeks ago, I went to the emergency room with severe abdominal pain, and after 2 ER visits, I started bleeding. So, and I haven't, I guess, let me preface this. If you don't want to hear about women's health, then hang up now, okay? Anyway, so I started bleeding, and I haven't had a period for 20 years because 20 years ago I had a uterine ablation and I had Essure plugs put in, so I've not had a period for that long. Well, 2 weeks ago I started bleeding, and it freaked me out because that was how my mom found out that she had endometrial cancer. So yesterday I had my appointment with my OB, and I am going to shout out his name because I'm telling you, I think I think he's an angel sent from God to women's health and anybody in general. So Dr. Sheets here in Bluffton is who I went to see, and he's been practicing. He was practicing back when I was delivering my babies, and he's still in practice, and he's just phenomenal. But anyway, we'll talk about that in a minute. So basically, in a nutshell, he said that he is 95% sure that what I have is not cancer. So that's all I needed to hear from him. That was it. That's it. He thinks it's just fibroids, and he said fibroids are almost always what do they call that? Binary? Benign. They're always benign. And he said he wants to do some more testing. They did do an ultrasound at the ER when I was there, but he wants to do his own ultrasound because he said my techs kind of get more in depth with them, and they can, measure the fibroids and all that good, measure my uterus, all that good stuff. So in 2 weeks, I'm going to go back for an ultrasound. He took blood work. And he said, we will take a peek at what this ultrasound shows us, and then we'll come up with a game plan. But when I asked him flat out what the chances are of this being cancer, he looked me dead in the eyes and said, I am 90 to 95% certain that this is not cancer. So I feel like I can breathe today. I feel like I can breathe again. But let me just talk about and love on Dr. Sheets a little bit because I've known him for a long time. His wife would come into the dough hook regularly, and just the absolute nicest people on the face of this planet. He's so just soft-spoken, and he genuinely cares about his patients. And Thank you, Joe. And I can tell. I can tell. I mean, the man gave me his cell phone number, right? And he said, if you have any problems, just call me. No doctor's ever done that before in my entire life. But at the end of our visit, he gave me this ginormous hug, and it just, I might get emotional talking about this because I just cannot get over how amazing he is, how wonderful of a human being, wonderful of a doctor. He's very knowledgeable. And he told me this yesterday, and it totally makes sense to me. But he said that when he was in his residency, it was like, I think he said back in the 80s or 90s. And he said he was being taught by doctors who went to school in like the 40s. So he said right now he's teaching future doctors, but he said if I had to go to medical school today, there's no way I would be able to do it. And I was like, bullshit. But he has kind of the old doctoring techniques in his bag of tricks, and then he also keeps up on the new and modern ways, modern medicine. So I think he's the best of both worlds. There's not a doubt in my mind that I am not in good hands. I know that I am in, I'm going to the best OB in Northwest Ohio, maybe even Ohio, maybe even the country, just because he's that good. And I will scream that from the mountaintops because he's absolutely amazing. But then I just think God was with me during that whole visit yesterday, because they did take blood work, and the medical assistant said, go back out in the waiting room and we'll call you back when we're ready to take your blood. And I sat in that waiting room for a very long time waiting for them to poke my arm, and I was getting a little frustrated about it, and I got up and asked the receptionist how much longer it was going to be. And pretty soon, my sweet dear friend Marky Woodruff comes around the corner, and I'm like, what are you doing here? Now, for those of you from Bluffton, I know you're going to know who Marky Woodruff is. Her husband is also a doctor, but Marky and I also bonded over the meat counter at the Dough Hook, and she is just one of the sweetest ladies you'll ever know. Her history is she was an OB nurse when they were delivering babies at Bluffton Hospital. She worked on that floor, and she was the absolute best on that floor. And when they took that service away from Bluffton and moved it to Findlay, it affected her, and it made her very sad. But anyway, so she's working, they call it PRN, for Dr. Sheet's office, and she's doing blood draws and stuff like that. And she did my blood draw yesterday. So it was really, really cool to catch up with her and talk to her and just be comforted by her, and got another big ginormous hug from her before I left. And yeah, God was with me yesterday. God was definitely with me for that visit, and it just felt really good. I feel good today. I don't know if you guys can tell it in my voice. I feel it. My mom hears it, but she's my mom. I don't know why I get emotional over that, but she said the minute I called her, she knew that everything was okay when she heard my voice. She's like, I could just tell. So I thought I got all my relief tears out yesterday. Whew, okay. Get your shit together, right? Okay, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. So anyway, I feel better. I feel lighter. Today's going to be a good day. What's our plans for the day? I think I might go spend some time in my garden again, and I have some work to do for the icons. Maybe do some stuff for my Hook and Rise Creative. And I actually just started researching this last night. And if anybody has any insight on this, please reach out to me. But has anybody ever looked into selling things on TikTok, right? Like, I keep seeing all these videos, and they're not like viral videos. They're just you know, of these creators who sell items on TikTok, and they make, I can't say that they make like, some people make really good money, but I think that takes a long time to build that audience up. But starting out, they make, decent money, and I'm thinking maybe it would be a good summertime gig for me to give this a try. Um, as you know, I cook dinner for Three Priests in Lima, and that is coming to an end in the end of June. Something else that will be very sad for me. And I am not substitute teaching anymore, so I need I need to find something to do this summer. It's more than about the money. It's about me keeping my mind occupied and doing something, because I cannot. I'm not an idle person. I can't do it. So if anybody has any experience selling um, stuff on TikTok Shop, reach out to me. Let's talk. I'm curious about it. I want to learn about it, and I want to know everything there is about it, and perhaps try it sometime in the near future. So our time is up. It is over 11 minutes, but I just want to spend a little time here thanking you guys for your prayers. Now that I've stopped crying, I can talk about this. Thank you for your prayers, for your concern. People have reached out to me after hearing the first podcast, and I know that there's lots of prayers going up for me. I don't think I'm 100% out of the woods yet, but I definitely think that both feet are on the edge of the woods hanging over it. So I think we're going to be okay. It's just something that we need to get taken care of, and as long as it's not cancer. So I am going to pray a little bit harder for those who are dealing with that awful, 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 awful diagnosis, because that's terrible. And yeah, they need more prayers than I do. So anyway, that's all for today. I love you guys. I love you so much. And pray for me. I will pray for you. And we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.